Welcome to a new Draw My Life video.
On the 6th of August 1945, a great explosion shook a nation city and the consciousness of the whole world. It was the atomic bomb that destroyed Hiroshima, a town in western Japan, which was back then a big city with more than 250,000 inhabitants. It was the first nuclear attack in history, and it meant the surrender of the country and the end of World War II. Apart from the conflict between allies and fascists in Europe, there was another big front in the Pacific. Japan, which had been an ally during World War I, felt now harmed by the maneuvers of the North Americans in the southeast of Asia. So they decided to take the initiative and invaded Indochina to win more territory. The US answer was imposing a trade blockade, which led to the Japanese attack in the American military base of Pearl Harbor, with thousands of victims and the declaration of war between the two countries. After the Battle of Berlin and the Nazi surrender in May 1945, the resolution of the Great War focused on this front of the Pacific. Since long before, in 1939, the US government had started up a project called Manhattan. It started thanks to the advice of the great physicist Albert Einstein. He said the energy force of uranium and plutonium should be used to produce a fission chain reaction and make a nuclear bomb. The result were the two first models of atomic devices, nicknamed Little Boy and Fat Man. The choice of Hiroshima as the objective was very well thought of. It was an important military and industrial base, as well as a great port and civil nucleus. As it was located among hills, the explosion would concentrate there, leading to a bigger destruction. It was perfect for the US Army. They wanted to do as much psychological damage as possible to the Japanese and lead to their surrender. They waited until the 6th of August so the weather would not be cloudy. A heavy bomber named by the pilot after his mother, Enola Gay, took off from the airbase in the Isle of Tinian in southern Japan, along with two support airplanes. The bomb activated during the flight, half an hour before reaching its target to avoid risks. The Japanese radars detected it at 8 a.m., and they emitted an attack alert on the radio for people to take refuge, but many ignored it. At 8:15, Little Boy was launched, and instantly temperature raised to more than 1 million Celsius degrees, setting fire to the air around and creating a huge fireball. The total destruction radius was 1.6 kilometers, causing fires in 11.4 square kilometers around. 69% of the buildings in Hiroshima were destroyed, and nearly 30% of the population died instantly. Another 70,000 people were injured with no possible assistance, as 90% of doctors and nurses died or were injured as well. They were working in the city center where the impact took place. A huge cloud of smoke with the shape of a mushroom covered the city. The explosion broke the glass in the windows of the buildings up to 16 kilometers away, and it was felt up to 59 kilometers away. Half an hour later, black rain started to pour, full of dust and ashes, as well as highly radioactive particles. It was precisely because of the ignorance about radiation and its effects in health that doctors didn't know how to treat the thousands and thousands of injured with burns around their whole bodies. They estimate up to 1950 more than 200,000 victims died, many of cancer, leukemia, and other long-term diseases. Some kids that were about to be born suffered body deformities and brain damage. The building, known as the Genbaku Dome, an exposition palace built in 1915, became a symbol of this disaster as it stood standing despite being only 150 meters away from the center of the explosion. The ruins are still there, named the Hiroshima Peace Memorial, and it was selected as World Heritage Site in 1996. 3 days after the disaster, in the morning of August 9, 1945, at 11:01, the US Army exploded Fat Man over the city of Nagasaki, in the west of the country, causing a destruction similar to the one in Hiroshima. This was the final blow for Japan. Terrified with the threat of new US bombings, they decided to sign the surrender document on September 2, 1945. The survivors of the bombings are called hibakusha, which literally means bombed person. To be a hibakusha was a stigma, as apart from all the diseases they suffered, they had to deal with society's rejection. Nobody wanted to mix with them, and they were even denied jobs. The Hiroshima Peace Memorial has a list of the hibakusha that have died since the bombings. In 2008, the number went up to 250,000. The US President Harry S. Truman, who made the final decision of launching the bombs, justified it as the only way to end immediately with the war and avoid the sacrifice of hundreds of thousands of soldiers. Nowadays, the government in this country still holds that opinion and hasn't apologized for one of the biggest massacres in history, which we hope never takes place again.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, and if you want to see more Draw My Life videos, subscribe to our channel. See you in the next episode!